Assalamu alaikum. I would like to invite your children to join in the summer reading challenge that we're hosting here at our Muslim homeschool. Now, what this reading challenge is that your children will read from 18 different categories of books. And the challenge is to complete that by the end of the summer. It's a really fun way to motivate kids to read more, to read outside their comfort zone a little bit, and give them something to do this summer that's worthwhile. So what you'll do to take part is you will download this checklist, and your kids can tick off the books as they go. This is a challenge that children of all ages can take part in. And you'll see as I go through the categories that children from 3-4 years old all the way up to 16 years old can still take part in this. So you download this checklist, and you can stick it up on your fridge or in the children's bedroom, or just leave it like this. And every time they read a book from each of the 18 categories, you tick it off. Now, I am going to go through all the categories. I'm going to give you some recommendations of books for each of them. But right now, I just want to give you a little bit of an overview so you can decide if this is a good fit for your children this summer. It's a great way to get your kids reading over the summer. If they've fallen out of the habit of reading, they've fallen out of love with picking up a book and reading it, this could be a great way to get them back into reading. If they're already strong readers, then this is another way to sort of stretch them a little bit, to make them pick up books that they wouldn't ordinarily pick up. And you'll see that as I go through the different categories. So like I said, to take part, all they do is they read one book from each of the 18 categories and tick it off. I'll be sending out certificates to the children who complete the challenge, and we'll have a hashtag going on social media, OMH Reading Challenge, OMH Reading Challenge. That hashtag will be going on social media so you can see what other families are doing who are also taking part with books that they've chosen to read. In fact, my son, he's already started. He's already started working towards this. He saw me working on it yesterday, and he's already read one of the books in the categories. So you can see kids get excited because they like a challenge. They like to tick things off a list. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go through each of the categories and give you some recommendations of books. But if you've got to go now, if you don't have time to watch the whole video, not a problem. Just save this email. You can come back and watch the video later. And make sure you download this checklist, or at the very least, take a screenshot of the square image in this email so that you can have that checklist on hand when your kids are ready to start the summer reading challenge. Okay, so let's start going through some of the books. So the very first category is a book set in the Muslim world. And I think it's really important that we give our children some diverse books at home. And increasingly, there's more and more of that available. So a book set in the Muslim world, I've picked up a few just to give you some ideas. I'll just reach down to my stack. Here's an example of a lovely picture book. This is 4 Feet and 2 Sandals. And if I remember rightly, this is set in Afghanistan. It might be Pakistan. Let me have a flick through. I'm not sure. It looks like Afghanistan to me. And set in a refugee camp in Afghanistan. It's lovely. So that's 4 Feet and 2 Sandals by Karen Lynn Williams. The next one in the next category is a book that makes you laugh. We want our kids to enjoy reading. It doesn't all have to be serious. So whatever books that your kids like that make them laugh. My boys do like the Planet Omar series of books. The next one is a book with a red cover. Again, especially younger kids, they're going to get very excited about running around the library looking for a book with a red cover. And they might, that kind of category might sound a bit strange. What's the point of that? But what it does is it encourages kids to pick up books that they ordinarily might not and read something a little bit different. The next one is a classics children's book. Again, this might stretch some of your children, but it's a great category. We always want to encourage our kids to read classics when they can. I mean, they are classics for a reason. The next one is a book about a prophet in the Quran. And I put that in because I think that when a child reads a story like that, a story about a prophet or a righteous person, and they read it for themselves, I think it touches them in a way that us telling them the story may not. So, okay, I've got one. This is for children, I'd say 9 and above. This is The Great Miracle, the story of Prophet Isa, alayhi salam. I know that there is a book called, My First Book About the Prophet, peace be upon him, and that would be suitable for children to read who are sort of 5+, and that might be worth looking out for. And the next category is a book that you've avoided reading. I think it's important to teach kids that sometimes a lot of satisfaction can be drawn from doing difficult things, and to pick up a book that they know they need to read or that you've encouraged them to read but they've avoided reading it. There's a lot of life lessons in that. So that's one of the categories. The next one is legend or folk tale. So there's so many legends. It doesn't have to be Islamic folk tales or from the Islamic world. But I have picked up this one from our bookshelf. This is Ayat Jamila, Beautiful Signs. And this is actually a collection of folk tales from all across the Muslim world. I really do love that book. And so your kids could read one from here or a collection from here to meet that category. Oh, so the next category is an award-winning book. So you want to be looking any book that's got Caldecott Award or anything. I mean, if a book has an award, it'll say so on the front cover. So have a look for that. There are book lists online for that. But if you just go to your local library or if you Google award-winning children's books, there will be lists and lists of them available for you to choose from. The next category is 5 poems. I think it's really including poetry in your children's life is a very valuable thing. It's very valuable for their education and for their understanding and their grasp of the beauty of language. Now, this could be in any language. It doesn't have to be English. If you are going to read English poetry, I love the poetry by A.A. Milne. I love Robert Louis Stevenson for younger children as well. Or if you just get a compilation, get an anthology from your library of different poems and let your kids pick 5 from there and let them read them to themselves. Now, I just want to point out that's all they're doing. To take part in this challenge, they're just reading. They don't need to write about this or do any kind of book report or anything like this. It's just reading and getting pleasure from reading. So the next category is a book by an author you've never read before. And again, this is about stretching your children. By an author you've never read before. So ask them, have you read this book before? Have you read this author? They already might have in the back of their mind a book they'd like to read. Perhaps they've heard their cousins talking about a book or something, a friend at school. So get your children, encourage your children to pick up a book by an author they've never read before. The next one is a mystery or detective book. There are a lot of those available for kids, particularly middle grade. I'm trying to think. There's one for, I would say, 7-year-old plus called Encyclopedia Brown. That is lovely. I'm sure all of you in the UK know Secret 7. Again, that I would say was about 6 or 7 years old plus. Famous 5. These are all mystery novels, mystery books. The next one is a book that was published this year. Your kids are going to have a lot of fun looking through the books and seeing what year they were published. Again, if you don't have time for that, you can just look online. You can go on Instagram or Facebook and see what is out there. The next one is a book with a Muslim protagonist, so a Muslim lead character. And again, we want our children to see themselves in the books that we choose for them. So that's why I've put that there. Again, Planet Omar is a great option there. An audiobook, that's the next category. So you can get audiobooks from Audible. There's also a website called Scribd, which I really like. But if you don't want to pay for your audiobooks, you can get them from a site called LibriVox. You can get them from the library here in the UK. You can not download them, but you can rent them online for a few weeks from your library. And so it's worth asking your librarian about that. A non-fiction book. Some kids love reading non-fiction, others not so much. I really like the non-fiction books by Usborne. That would be worth looking into. And there are plenty at your local library again. A comic book. Now, I brought one comic book to show you an example, but I think your kids are going to really enjoy picking up a graphic novel or a comic book. So this is one that was given to us as a gift, Quranic Infographics by Salaam Comics. And then this is looking at the meanings of some of the short surahs and explaining it in a comic book form. So that could fit into that category. Then the next category, we're almost at the end now. Category number 17 is a biography. This is something that a lot of kids are not familiar with, reading a biography. But there are a lot of picture books that teach you about the life of people. So I've got a very big stack here. I'll just bring a few up. So we have this one. I love this book. This is The Travelling Man. This is about Ibn Battuta. Let me get that in the camera. The Travelling Man by James Rumford. That's a great biography. We have this one about Gregor Mendel. That talks about genetics. This is not a biography. This would fit into your comic book category. Oh, here we go. We've got Leif the Lucky by Dallaire. Again, this is about a Viking biography. Somebody called Leif the Lucky, a very famous Viking. And I've got a whole bunch here. If you're really not sure where to start, I would recommend looking at James Rumford's books. They're lovely picture books. Many of them are set in the Muslim world or are something to do with Islamic history. So that's worth looking into. And then the final category is a book your mum or dad read when they were young. And I think this is a really lovely category because it gives you the opportunity as a parent to talk to your kids about books and to tell them stories about your childhood and to connect with them through a good book. And it might be a really lovely thing to do. So I've put that one there on the last category of the reading challenge. There we go. So this is a big and bold checklist that you can display in your home, or you can put it away in a folder somewhere for them to tick off. You can fold it up, put it in your handbag and take it with you to the library. By all means, take a screenshot of the square image that I sent you in the email, if that's easier for you to just have it on your phone. But I think the kids will really enjoy having a printed copy. This can be printed out in black and white if that's easier for you. So I think that's everything. You know, I would love for your children to take part in this reading challenge. It's going to be a lot of fun. It might sound like a lot of books, but remember, children's books, they can be picture books. They can be very, very short. Some of these categories are short, like 5 poems. And summer is a long, long time. And your children have a lot of free time in summer, which is a good thing. They need to relax, they need to rest, but giving them something for their mind to chew on during the summer is definitely a good thing. So I hope you will take part. I hope that you will share with me and let me know what books your children have chosen to read this summer, how they're getting on in the challenge. By all means, tag me on social media so I can see what you're up to. Use the hashtag #OMHReadingChallenge so that I can see how your children's reading is going this summer. So I hope that you'll take part. Make sure you download that checklist and happy reading. Assalamu alaikum.